Okay, so I'm live in the community right now. I'm looking for donations. I'm looking for charity. Okay, so I'm live in the community right now. I'm looking for donations. I'm looking for charity. I'm looking for cash donations in the community and from afar. I'm online, so I guess it has to be within the community. But I need your name, phone number, and email. I'm looking for cashier's checks. I'm looking for cash donations. I'm looking for envelopes with cash in it. You know, we had a lot of banking issues in the community. So I'm outside right now. We still have the cell phone. We still have the live access. But the bank said they locked us and they closed it. So now, if the banks close, we need to find cash because then we cannot put it in our bank, right? So if we were used to getting deposits into our bank account, now we have to get cash donations and transactions as a non-profit organization. So if I did business for profit and they didn't pay me, then they forced me to be a non-profit for cash donations outside. So I used to do this in high school where, you partner up with Salvation Army or the school or different non-profits, and we used to just go outside and ask for cash donations. So that's where I am again, because we did a lot of records, World Music Innovations. We did that for profit. We did the Winners Club for profit. That was profit. And Constant Cash Records, that was for profit. But the bank wanted to, close those accounts down. So they wanted to close and lock. So lock and or close those accounts. So if that happens and that's where your money or your monies were deposited, then that means now your money cannot be deposited there and you don't have an account. So now we're, in the state of Hawaii, Maui, we're non-profit now, and we have to ask for cash donations outside. So you know how when, you might use different terminology or lingo and say in the streets we outside. Now business professionally we're outside because the bank decided to make us non-profit in our community. So we already came from sovereignty, then we wanted to learn how to do business, but now the bank First Hawaiian Bank put us back into sovereignty. So now I'm with the rest of the community again, outside, even though I was working for the state of Hawaii. And now we have to ask for cash, non-profit, and cashier's checks. So if I cannot go to my bank, I need cash. Then I also need cashier's checks to then be able to try to get for cash, either at Walmart or at another bank, or try to gain access to my original bank. So very interesting. So now we got to take business back into the community because it's hard to go further than the community. So say you did business in 200 countries, right? But then you stayed in the community, and sometimes you wanted to do business in different cities or states. Once the bank takes all your money, now you got to look for cash, the airport. So there's a lot of felons that are able to go on airplanes. The state allows felons to go on airplanes to travel. Now, I don't have a bank account. I have to do non-profit, and I got to figure out okay, then I got to put the cash into Visa cards. So now it's illegal to stop me if I get the cash and I put it into Visa cards that are, able to hold cash amounts. So once the bank, makes you nonprofit your businesses, so you could be for-profit businesses. Now they take away all your money. Then you have to be cash nonprofit, and you have to be outside in the dark because you don't have the money to afford your house, and you don't have the money to afford your car because the bank switched your accounts, and you have to ask for cash. Then you got to put the cash on visas in the community to then continue to have a cell phone, because they didn't give you a free cell phone in the community if you're already homeless, you don't have a house. And then the businesses that were operating in the net plus, like a surplus, they made nonprofit to zero. So now I gotta find the net plus in cash in the streets. So that's when we say we're outside, because in the streets, then if you have health issues, they would force you to close your bank, and then you would have to be outside with the rest of individuals if they force a lock or close on your only bank. So this is illegal to do, but if they did do it, you would be outside right now, just like how I am, asking for cash non-profit. Because if you did business professionally with accounting, even on the internet and with the state and the United States, and they didn't pay you by not looking at documentation, and then the bank closed that because it's all linked to those account, to that one account, those businesses linked to that one account, now those businesses are all non-profit, and then I'm outside right now. So that's how the community works, especially when, you know they're not funding the community, and they're maybe over trying to do security instead of over trying to do payments to help people that have the business paperwork and the businesses connected to the state and the United States. Or some people just don't do business and would need help as well. So if you just were in a position where they didn't even offer you a job or offer you a bank account, now you're by default a cash nonprofit. Or then you need stipends, you need remittance, you need cashier's checks. But I was used to making money every single day on Wall Street too. But if Wall Street is connected to your one bank account name, and you are used to making money to even, continue to try to put your state on the map, right? So if you're one individual, you try to play for the All-Stars, you try to play states or internationals. If you try to do that and they close your one bank account after you do the work, that then again is how you become, non-profit, especially if they're not paying you minimum wage. So if you're a state all-star, you try to go from the little league to the majors, and then you have only one bank, or they don't allow you to have a bank, or they close two of your accounts. Now this is why, people have to be outside, and they didn't usually do anything wrong. They might just not understand or not know how the bank has the power to do that, instead of not having the power to do that. So sometimes the bank does illegal activity, even management, sometimes in apartment housing, because they're the closest one with the most time that could then check the bank, right? Because they write the checks to everybody. But if you're just not acting in good faith or by best interest, then that's what is the opposite of good faith and best interest. So you have to, help people out, because then we wouldn't want to talk about not being in good faith, right? So then that's kind of the state, the county of Maui, as well as banking and possibly even policing. So sometimes over policing and over security, that funds too much in the wrong way that then sometimes a blind eye goes to individuals that are supposed to already have more money. But then we're outside. So we might be outside shooting hoops, but we might have been retired from the game already. So this is like if Kobe or Shaq or Adam Sandler or somebody and their bank accounts go to zero and they have health issues, icy hot, and all of that, arthritis, they still might be outside shooting hoops because maybe they didn't look at all their business paperwork. Maybe the police isn't helping the state find the paperwork. Maybe the police aren't helping the bank find the state's paperwork. So then, I'm supposed to have... Sometimes people don't want to hear that, right? Like, or what are we supposed to have? But at times, if Kobe, if Jordan score points on the board, you kind of, even as the state, have to address it, right? So there's a lot of people in the state. They have cars, they put in work, but then now we gotta be outside because you're just not wanting to fund the people that need help or that actually even put in the work. So you gotta help people, for one, to then be in what? Best interest and good faith, not the opposite. So helping people, for one, is best interest and good faith. That means, I can accept cash donations. I don't... So then I gotta get used to talking that way, right? I gotta say I actually love to talk that way because I was used to getting deposits from working. So I was used to getting Apple checks, Spotify deposits, Harry Fox agency, TikTok deposits, Instagram, Facebook, and then some accounts started getting compromised, or they do rollovers inside of the company where then they act like you have to re-hit certain metrics. So imagine you were working for 50 years, right? And they just weren't paying you and they were supposed to. And then every year or every paycheck, they roll over the metrics. So then you're not able to meet them. So they make unrealistic metrics so that people aren't able to meet them. So I gotta also go into a spot where I cannot be too disruptive, right? Because everybody wants peace and quiet too. But then that would be illegal to disrupt the entire form of business when putting points on the board. So some people, they would rather do the work instead of talk on camera. So once I did the work to have the checks deposited into my bank account every day, including having the state supposed to know that with the businesses connected, then connected to the United States, I would then have to then get used to being in the community asking for cash and non-profit just by the banking and the corporation stopping to fund what it is when I didn't have to speak. So some people don't want to speak. They don't want to overtalk. And then the bank and also businesses that they worked with act as if they can put them on zero after the work. So then we got to talk about it if we have internet or if we were blessed to, have the resources to then communicate it. We don't want to do too much, but that's why we got to ask for cash donations and different charity into the community, because not everybody is able to have bank accounts. Not everybody's able to get jobs right away. And then some of the people who work, then they just don't get paid fair share for what they did. So that's why this is an interesting way that now I'm going to be on nighttime lives outside only. Because if that's what they force you to do at a young age, if you do the work, now I got to be outside all the time. So then that means they close the buildings early. They close the buildings early. And then the people with money to go into the buildings, they put on zero. Now we outside.